Welcome to Movement and Function. I'm Beth Wagner. Today's video is about tight hamstrings. I'm going to show you the correct way to stretch hamstrings and then show you several other exercises that can be really helpful if you have chronically tight hamstrings that you're not able to resolve with stretching. There are many reasons why people's hamstrings might feel tight besides an actual tightness in the hamstrings. Sometimes the hamstrings are tight because they're compensating for tightness, weakness, or imbalances in other areas of the body, including the hips, the back, the core, or even lower, the lower leg, knees, etc. So in addition to knowing the correct way to perform a hamstring stretch, it's really key to incorporate some other stretches and strengthening exercises. When everything is in balance, then the hamstrings no longer need to compensate. And oftentimes you'll find that they just relax on their own. Step one, let's review the correct way to stretch hamstrings. There are many different positions that you could choose to stretch your hamstrings in. But what I find most common is that people end up stretching their back as much or more than the hamstrings. So I'll show you an easy way to do a standing hamstring stretch. So I'll turn to the side so you can see my profile a little better. Now we'll start standing up straight with good posture. Put your hands on your hips here. So your fingers are on the very front of your hips and your thumb is on the back of your hips and your elbows are straight out to the side. This will help you keep track of the position of your pelvis. The hamstrings start at the very base of your buttock and run to the back of your knee. Oftentimes when people perform a hamstring stretch and they're bending at the back, like this for example, you can see nothing changes in my hamstring. So to perform a proper hamstring stretch, what needs to change is the pelvis. Now when I bend over and hinge at the hip, you can see that the relationship between the base of my buttocks and my knee is changing. The hamstring is lengthening. So that's really key for you to see and for you to feel when you're doing a stretch. Okay, so hands on your hips, elbows out to the side. To stretch my right hamstring here, I'll place my heel just out forward here. As I hinge forward at the hips, my hands are going to stay in the same position here. So my pelvis is rocking forward. And for me, that's as far as I can go. And I feel the stretch in my hamstrings, not in my back. Another way to check for proper position is to feel your back. You should feel the arch in your back right here. If I stretch this way, my back is rounded. And you can tell from here to here, nothing changed at my hips. The only thing that changed was the motion in my back. Hold the stretch for about 20 seconds and then come up to the starting position. And let's switch legs. So this time I'm going to turn this way. Starting with your hands on your hips, put your heel out and now hinge at the hips. So I'm sticking my buns out a little bit, keeping the arch in my back and maintaining the same position of my hands relative to my trunk. So I know my pelvis is staying in a neutral position. And this as far as I can bend at the hips. And I feel the stretch right through my hamstrings here. Hold for 20 seconds and then come back up to the starting position. Now, if that is uncomfortable on your back for any reason, you could try that same idea sitting, especially on an elevated surface. Put your hands on your hips again, straighten one leg, heel on the ground, and bend forward at the hips. And that's it. Whew, I really feel that through the hamstring here. See how far away my fingers are from my toes? I can touch my toes, but reaching my toes is simply bending my back. That's not adding to the hamstring stretch. So do your hamstring stretches with your hands on your hips rather than reaching. Hold for 20 seconds and then come back up. Repeat on the other side. Heel forward, hinge at the hips. You should feel the crease in the front of your hips right where your pinky is. And hold for 20 seconds and then come back up. All right, now that we've covered how to properly stretch the hamstrings, let's move on to the other exercises. Sometimes tight calves can contribute to the feeling of having tight hamstrings. So let's do a calf stretch. So I'll turn to the side here, step one foot back, keep the heel on the ground, and lunge forward onto the front leg. Make sure that your toes are pointed straight forward. Hold for 20 seconds, and then step back. And on the other side, step the left foot back, lunge forward onto the right leg, keep the left toes pointed straight forward, heel on the ground, and hold for 20 seconds. And then step to the starting position again. Perform the calf stretch 3 times on each side. That's the same as the hamstring stretch too, by the way. 20 seconds, 3 repetitions on each side. You could also hold the stretch for a little longer, 30 seconds, and then do it twice on each side. Overall, what we're shooting for is about a minute of stretching on each side. So see what feels comfortable for you and adjust accordingly. The next stretch is a hip flexor stretch, and it starts in the similar position as the calf stretch, but the movement is a little different and the focus is very different. The hip flexor stretch is designed to stretch the front of the hip rather than the back of the lower leg. But we're going to start in this stride stance position here. Go ahead and put your hand on your hips again. And if you find that you're tipped forward like this, try to tip your pelvis back. That will focus the stretch on the front of the hip. And you may need to lunge a little bit farther as well in order to really feel this stretch. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds and perform 2 to 3 times on each side for a total of a minute. All right, step back to the starting position and repeat on the other side. Left leg goes back, tuck the buns under, and lunge forward more if you need to. Let your heel come up if you need to. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds. Repeat 2 to 3 times on each side. Okay. The third exercise is quad strengthening. Sometimes the hamstrings feel tight because there's actually weakness in the quad. There are many different ways to strengthen the quad. I'm going to show you a long arc quad. The secondary benefit to this particular strengthening exercise is that you get a little bit of a hamstring stretch if you're doing this properly. So we'll start by sitting down. Make sure you have good posture, a little bit of arch in your back, neutral pelvis. Now we're going to straighten one leg, tighten the quad here, lift your leg up as far as you can without letting yourself slouch. Pause there and lower. Lift the other leg, pause and lower. Perform 15 to 20 repetitions on each leg. You could do these you could do all of your repetitions on one leg and then switch to the other leg, or alternate like I demonstrated. There are benefits to both ways of doing it. Okay, the next exercise is a prone press-up. This is actually a lumbar spine exercise. The hips and the spine are connected. The buttocks and the spine are connected. So oftentimes when there are any issues around the pelvis and upper leg area, there is some connection to the lower spine as well. So we'll start lying on our stomach. Lying on your stomach on a firm surface, preferably on the ground, or you could try this on your bed as well. Place your palms next to your shoulders and press up. Pause here at the top, let your belly sag, and then lower. And press up, pause, and lower. Try to let everything relax in your low back, in your abs, even in your buttocks. All right, perform 10 repetitions of that exercise. Now, if this causes any sharp pain or any discomfort going down your legs, stop right away. Then this isn't the exercise for you. But otherwise, if it feels comfortable and you just feel a stretch in your back, that's perfect. The last thing I would recommend is a core strengthening program. You could check out some of my videos, including dynamic planks and an exercise ball series. The links to my core strengthening videos can be found down below in the description. I hope you found these exercises helpful for you to relieve the tightness in your hamstrings and to help restore balance in your hips, your low back, and core. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I'll get back to you right away. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, and it's always great to see a thumbs up. Here's to your healing, health, and happiness. Have a wonderful day.